Cameras filmed the panda giving birth for the first time, and when the animal got up, the keepers were shocked. Pandas are one of the most loved species of bear worldwide due to their cute, fuzzy appearance and adorable, playful and silly nature. Whilst millions of people love this amazing animal, their species is sadly critically endangered due to poaching and deforestation. Because of this, conservation programs are greatly encouraged in zoos all around the world to help increase this adorable population again. And it was through one of these conservation programs that something amazing happened. In 2013, the Atlanta Zoo in Georgia in America decided to try and get one of their giant pandas pregnant. The panda in question, a female called Lunlun, was 16 years old at the time of this decision and perfect for the project since she had already given birth to 3 healthy babies before. This was good news as it meant that Lunlun had good, strong genes. But whilst the plan was to get the female bear pregnant, the zoo had to think about how they would go about doing it. It was a tricky situation, as pandas are known to have very low reproductive rates, and with a very short fertile window of only 2 days a year where female bears can actually get pregnant, the timing of conception has to be exact for the pregnancy to occur. To help with this, veterinarians monitor female pandas' urine all year round in order to see when their estrogen levels peak. Once the peak is detected, the zookeepers have 2 options. One of these options is to try and allow the female panda and the male panda to mate naturally. However, this is very rarely chosen, as natural mating must overcome a number of obstacles. There must be chemistry between the 2 animals, and the male panda must have the libido and the technique to accomplish the deed. Captive pandas are sometimes inexperienced and confused on how to properly court and mount the female, said Rebecca Snyder, who was the curator of mammals at the Atlanta Zoo at the time. If they aren't interested or the positioning is incorrect, they only get 1 opportunity a year to practice, she said. This means that a lot of keepers decide to use artificial insemination in order to make sure that the female has the best chance of conceiving a baby. It was this method that keepers at the Atlanta Zoo decided to use on Lunlun in 2013. The staff used DNA from Lunlun and a 15-year-old male panda called Yang Yang, who had sired Lunlun's 3 other babies. Once the procedure was complete, keepers kept a close check on Lunlun in the hopes that she would start to show signs of being pregnant. Unfortunately, pandas are prone to having phantom or pseudo-pregnancies, meaning that their hormones and behaviors can change and look like the animal is pregnant when in fact it isn't. They have a complicated biology, explains Lane Valentine, who was the director of a giant panda program in a British zoo. You've got this pseudo-pregnancy factor, so using hormones as a biomarker for pregnancy in pandas just doesn't work. You have to use other tests, he said. So, wanting to be as thorough as they could be, vets decided to give the female panda an ultrasound to see if she was pregnant. Thankfully she was, and vets were able to make out, if only slightly, the beginnings of a panda fetus. When the news of Lunlun's pregnancy spread, everyone at the zoo was ecstatic. They couldn't wait to see the new cub. Once it was confirmed that the female bear was pregnant, keepers and vets made sure to keep a 24/7 watch on the animal to make sure that she was healthy in order to try and prevent any potential miscarriages. Pandas can have a very short gestation period. It can range from 3 to 6 months, so it was important for the zoo to make sure that they knew when they might be expecting a new arrival. Lunlun was pregnant for roughly 4 months before the time came for her to give birth. During those 4 months, the soon-to-be mama panda began to eat less. Instead of eating roughly 42 pounds, 19 kilograms of bamboo per day, she lost her appetite, which is a very common symptom of pregnancy in pandas, according to the World Wildlife Fund Panda Central. On top of that, rather than eating the bamboo given to her in her enclosure, Lunlun began shredding the bamboo into little pieces to make a nest. This is another common behavior that pandas do the closer they are to their due date. In the wild, pregnant pandas build a nest, lining it with materials such as wood chips, birch or fir saplings, and branches from rhododendron or bamboo to keep out damp and cold. In captivity, human caretakers provide these materials to facilitate the behavior. It was at the point when Lunlun began to make her nest that the staff realized that it wouldn't be long before the baby came. A month before the female bear gave birth, keepers at the Atlanta Zoo decided to set up a panda cam. This allowed staff as well as the public to keep an eye on Lunlun all day and night long so that they could witness the precious moment she'd give birth. Finally, on the 15th of July 2013, Lunlun went into labor. The female panda settled down into her nest and began to give birth. A few moments later, a tiny, bald, and blind baby was born, and it was all captured on camera. The mother panda picked her baby up straight away and immediately began to lick it clean. She sat, leaning her back against her enclosure wall, and happily started caring for her new baby. But little did the staff know that what would happen next would make them scream. As the mother panda took care of her new young, she suddenly began hunching over and pushing again. Moments later, a second tiny baby was born. The keepers were shocked. While the ultrasound performed on the panda had confirmed she was pregnant, they never noticed that there were actually 2 cubs growing inside her. The 2 tiny pandas were born at 7:20 a.m. and 8:07 a.m. on a Saturday. Whilst twins are not uncommon for giant pandas, they are at greater risk of illness and death than cubs born alone. This is because they've had to share the nutrients in the womb and will also have to share their mother's milk. Plus, sometimes a mother panda will reject one of the babies and simply focus on raising the other one. If this happened, keepers would have to step in and try to raise the baby panda themselves. Thankfully, this didn't seem to be the case with Lunlun, as she began to care for both of her babies happily. We're thrilled and relieved that Lunlun's twins have arrived, Hayley Murphy, Vice President of Animal Division, said in a statement at the time. Our focus will now be the care and monitoring of the cubs and Lunlun to ensure that both cubs have the best opportunity to thrive. The 2 baby bears were named Mai Lun and Mai Huan, and they were both initially identified as male. In December of 2013, though, preliminary exams on the zoo's other pandas, Jilan and Po, indicated that Po's gender had been misidentified. Wanting to be absolutely certain of the genders of all their pandas, as it would help the future breeding, the zoo decided to run DNA tests on several of the bears, including the cubs, who were several months old at the time. On December 13, 2013, Zoo Atlanta reported that Po, Mei Lun, and Mei Huan were actually all female. With this news came the exciting possibility that species of the giant panda would be able to recover better than environmentalists had hoped. As the more females there were, the greater chance of more pregnancies and more babies. Mei Lun and Mei Huan were kept at the Atlanta Zoo, where they continue to live today. Hopefully they will also have their own babies in the future and help replenish the giant panda population again. As for Lunlun, she went on to have another set of twin babies in 2016, only 3 years after Mei Lun and Mei Huan. They were named Jilun and Yalun. What an amazing story! Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories.